good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Sir Meerkat, and welcome back to the Moto Meerkat channel. Now, we all know that back in the early days of racing, the safety standards weren't quite up to what they are today. The cars basically just acted as like a coffin on wheels for the poor drivers that had to drive them, and even the slightest knock to the fuel tank could send the car bursting into flames like it did to Niki Lauda at the Nordschleife in 1976. But there was one F1 car that I believe is the most unsafe of them all, the Honda RA302. For the 1968 season, Honda initially entered the Honda RA301. Now, the chassis of the car housed a V12 engine that had won them the Italian Grand Prix the previous year. And the same car would go on to compete in 11 races across the 68 season, where the driver, John Surtees, obviously world-renowned, a very, very good driver, would secure 1 pole, 1 fastest lap, and 2 podiums. The development of the RA301 was quickly halted in favour of pursuing further steps forward with its successor, the RA302. Very creatively named, I must say. So most engines at the time were water-cooled, but the RA302 was able to produce 430 horsepower through its air-cooled V8 engine. And this was mainly thanks to the introduction of its air inlets on the side of the car and on the floor of the car. This allowed for the engine to be cooled by a funnel draft system, which is basically like a conic shape that allows for the Venturi effect to occur. And the Venturi effect, quite complicated physical things, but it basically means that 2 wide air intakes on each side of the cockpit are able to catch the air, and they then lead through to smaller pipes so that the molecules have to flow faster through there. So it sort of sucks it through the engine, cooling the engine, but without any need of a fan to pull it through. Just the movement from a large area to a small area is able to suck it through itself. The predecessor of the car, the RA301, was also a bit too heavy, causing the power usage that it had to be quite inefficient. So on the RA302, Honda implemented a magnesium-skinned monocoque to significantly reduce the weight. And this meant that in theory, the RA302 was a masterpiece. It was able to increase engine capacity loads, be bloody quick, being air-cooled, and being light. So surely it was going to win the World Championship. And Honda clearly believed this as well. They took the car to test at Silverstone, but after taking the car out for a few laps, the driver John Surtees stated, "You'd drive out of the pits and it would feel quite sharp, but it was impossible to drive any distance with it performing as it should. Mr. Nakamura must tell Japan we cannot take this car to a race." However, while this testing was occurring at Silverstone, owner Soichiro Honda was visiting France and managed to strike up a deal with some top dogs out there to run the RA302 at the next round in France under the Honda France banner with a French driver. And their main driver, Surtees, and their team boss at the time, Nakamura, didn't know about these plans until 7:30 AM on the morning of the first practice at Rouen-les-Assarts circuit. The French driver that was chosen to pilot this new machine was Joe Schlesser. He had previously competed in 2 Formula 1 Grand Prix races, but these were both while he was piloting Formula 2 cars, which you could do back then. Bloody odd. But this time he'd finally managed to secure a racing seat in a Formula 1 car, incredible for him. But in qualifying, it wasn't such great news. John Surtees, piloting the old RA301 model, obviously he refused to drive the new one, so he was in the old one. He managed to put that car on 7th place on the grid, while Schlesser could only manage 16th on the 18-car grid in the new spec car. Now, we can obviously point out that Surtees is a world-renowned driver for being very, 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 very good, and Schlesser not so much. But it still didn't look very good on Honda, did it? Having their old model outperforming their new model by quite a way. And before the race took place, Schlesser said that driving the Honda was the chance of a lifetime, and he wouldn't quite know how true his words really were. On only lap 2 of the race, Schlesser lost control of the RA302 on the tight 6-Fahrer corner. This sent his car careening up the banking, somersaulting multiple times, and as it was near the start of the race, obviously the fuel tank was almost full, and with the impact of the barrel rolling, it sent it bursting into flames. The crash immediately engulfed Schlesser in flames. It also injured 10 spectators that were there. Nothing fatal, but for Schlesser it was indeed fatal. He couldn't get out of the car quick enough and basically died in the flames, leaving his wife and 12-year-old daughter behind. Very, very sad. And that really puts into perspective just how dangerous the sport really was at that time. But it wasn't all doom and gloom for Honda that weekend. To be fair, in the RA301, Surtees managed to secure Honda's best result of the season, a second place. But when Honda created the second prototype of the RA302 for the Italian Grand Prix of the same year, Surtees again refused to drive it and caused Honda to sort of lose love with the series. They couldn't really push forward as they wanted to, and they ended up dropping out of Formula 1 at the end of the 1968 season. And we would have to wait 36 years to see Honda re-enter the sport when they bought a majority stake in the BAR team. But the famous RA302 has not been forgotten. You can still view it for yourself at the Honda Collection Hall in Tochigi, Japan. Well, that is the interesting story of what I believe to be most deadly Formula 1 car in the sport's history. And I say this because it only competed in one race, and in that race it crashed on the second lap, engulfing itself in flames and killing its driver. So rest in peace to Mr. Schlesser, but you didn't get lucky there, did you, mate? But are there any F1 cars that you think were deadlier than this one? Be sure to let me know down in the comments below, and leave a like on this video if you did end up enjoying it, and also be sure to subscribe to the channel while you're down there. Click that big red button, because I make motorsport content every Tuesday and every Friday that you're not going to want to miss. And I also want to inform you lot that the third round of the Moto Makeup World Series is at Monza this week, and instead of its usual time of Saturday at midday, it's actually on Friday at midday. Now, my mother's birthday is on Saturday, so I cannot attend then, so we moved it back just one day. So make sure to change your diary dates, make sure you tune in at midday on Friday and come and say hi in the live chat. But otherwise, that's all from me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see all of you meerkats later. Goodbye, guys.